keep track on their own. All right. Mishna Tes. Shloisha Achim Nesuin Shalosh Nachriyos. 3 brothers married to 3 women who are unrelated. Okay, we got that one? 3 brothers married to 3 women unrelated. There are no sisters here. Okay? Umeis Achad Mehen. Now one of the brothers died. His wife, and he had no children. So his wife now falls to Yibam to any of the 2 other brothers. And there's no problem with any of the 2 other brothers making Yibam. And now, V'asa Bahasheni Maimer. The second brother, meaning one of the brothers, went and didn't do Yibam on her, but he did Maimer. Maimer, remember, is the rabbinic kedushin that they instituted for a man to make on his sister-in-law who falls to him for Yibam. Vames. And then he dies. So now we have the second brother's regular wife that falls to the third brother for Yibam. And then we also have the woman who had Maimer to the second brother. Right? To have the woman who was married to the first brother, who the second brother did Maimer on, and the second brother's wife. So the Mishnah says, Hare elu choltzais v'lo misyabmois. The halacha is that both women have to receive chalitza, and no yibum can be done on them. Why is that? Shenema, because the pasuk states, Umeis achad mehem yevama yavoy elaha. The Torah says when it talks about the mitzvah of yibum, and one of them will die, then the brother of the deceased brother will marry her. So from the words of the Torah that say one dies and then Yibam is done, implies Shaleh Zikas Yavim Echad. Yibam is done when there is a connection to one brother-in-law. V'lo Shaleh Zikas Shnei Yavamin, but not when there are 2 connections on one woman. If a woman has one connection, meaning she falls to Yibam, to her brother-in-law, because of her husband, one connection, then there's a mitzvah of Yibam. But if you have a woman who actually has 2 connections, she has 2 reasons to be connected to her brother-in-law for Yibam marriage, then there is no mitzvah of Yibam. Then you can't do Yibam, but you got to do chalitza. Now, what the Mishnah is saying is like this. You have this woman. She fell for Yibam from her first husband. The second brother only did Maimer, right? Which means, that means Maimer is not a full marriage. Maimer can be seen as a partial marriage. So when the second brother, so that means that when she falls to the third brother, she really has 2 reasons why she's falling to the third brother. She is still the widow of the first brother, and she is a widow through Maimer from the second brother. And therefore, because she's falling to Yibam, to the third brother, with 2 connections or 2 causes for Yibam, the wording of the Torah implies there's no Yibam then. Yibam only happens when she has 1 Yibam connection, but not if a woman has 2 Yibam connections to one brother.
No chalitza.
No, yes, chalitza. The Mishnah said there is chalitza. This is not like an erva. Now, really, from the wording of the Mishnah, it sounds like this is a Torah law. So it sounds like, right? We took the words of the Torah and we said this is what the words say. But it can't be a Torah law because Maimer, as we learned until now, is a rabbinic kedushin. If it's a rabbinic kedushin, then according to Torah law, she only has 1 connection. That's still from the first brother. It's like a situation where the first brother dies and then the second brother dies. Her connection to the third brother is still from the first. So even here where the second brother did Maimer, nonetheless, according to Torah law, she's not married to the second brother. She's only married to the first brother. There's only 1 connection. So therefore, this is all a rabbinic law. And the fact that the Mishnah used the wording from the Torah is because we find many times that a rabbinic law will try to somehow or another find an allusion in the words of the Torah to the idea. But in essence, the idea is like this. Being that the second, now, halacha is like this. If a man has 2 wives, two wives, and he dies. And a person does and a person does yibam on, and a brother does a yibam on one of the wives. What happens to the other wife? She goes free. Not only does she go free, the second brother's not allowed to marry her. Not allowed to. There's a parsha that tells us not allowed to marry her. Okay? So the problem is like this. The problem is, let me read you here how they lay it out. However, because Maimar makes it look like both widows were married to the second brother, right? He did a Maimar. The second brother did an act of marriage. So it looks like she was married to the second brother. If we were to allow the third brother to perform yibum with both, or give chalitza to one to perform yibum with the other, people might think that this is a procedure even when two women really are widows of the same brother. They might think that the same way when you have two actual widows from the same brother, that you can actually do yibum on both, do a chalitza one, do a yibum on one. You know, you might think that this is the way that that needs to be done. Because since here in the Maimer case, people say, oh, he did Maimer, the second brother. That looks like he married her. That looks like these two women were married to him. So when he dies, right, what's supposed to happen? What's supposed to happen in a regular case, as we said before, is you do yibam on one, or do a chalitza on the other one, and the other one, and the other one's free. Not only free, you can't marry her. But here, if we follow Torah law, each one is falling from a separate brother. It only looks like she's falling from the second brother together with the second brother's wife, because the second brother did Maimer. And therefore, because of that, the rabbis therefore decreed that he must give chalitza to both women. Meaning, don't do yibam, because if you do yibam, it can turn into problems. In the case where a man actually has two wives, people might think you can do yibam on both. People might think you do yibam, you can do chalitza on one, do yibam on the other. So therefore, they said over here in this case where the Maimer was done, no yibam. All you do is chalitza on both. If you do chalitza on both here, then there's no real concerns about what will happen in another case. Because if they do an extra chalitza for no reason, it doesn't hurt anybody, really. So the point is that this halacha of the Tanna Kama is a rabbinic decree. Now let's continue. Reb Shimon Omer, Reb Shimon says, Reb Shimon disagrees. Reb Shimon disagrees what we said before. Reb Shimon has a whole different outlook on Maimer. Reb Shimon, first let's see what Reb Shimon says. Miyabim le'ezer sheyirtzeh. In this case, again, the first brother died, the second brother did Maimer on his wife. Then the second brother dies. Says Reb Shimon, you can do yibam on any of these two women that you want. Whether it's the woman that had the Maimer done on her, whether it's the other woman whether it's the other. You do yibam on one, v'chayas l'shniya, and you do chalitza on the second. That's what he says. Of these two women now that we have in front of the third brother, he's got the second brother's regular widow, and he's got the second brother's Maimer widow. Says Reb Shimon, do yibam on whichever one you want, do yibam on one, and do a chalitza on the other. So where's Reb Shimon coming from? He's coming from this. We've already had an opinion that according to Beis Shammai, that Maimer, that the kedushin you do on a Yevama works according to Torah law. That was Beis Shammai's opinion. Beis Hillel says there is no such Torah law, it's a rabbinic law. And Reb Shimon says, I'm not sure. Reb Shimon says, maybe it works midaraisa, and maybe it doesn't. If it works midaraisa, it works. If it doesn't work midaraisa, it doesn't work. There's no rabbinic law of Maimer. It's either a Torah law or nothing. And he's a suffix, he has a doubt, he doesn't know what it is. Now, therefore, he says like this. So therefore, so here we go. Therefore, it's like this. Let me read you how they lay it out here. According to Reb Shimon, Maimer surely does not make a partial marriage. However, he is unsure whether it creates a full marriage or not at all. If it creates a full marriage, then the second brother was fully married to both widows, right? And the third brother can perform yibam with one and thereby free the other, right? If Maimer works, so that means the second brother had two wives. When a man has two wives and he dies without children, the halacha is you do yibam on one or chalitza on one, and the other one is free. Okay. Now, right. If they were if through the Maimer, the widow of the first is really fully married to the second, he has two wives, two widows. You do chalitza yibam on one. You can do yibam on one, free the other one. If it does not make any marriage at all, then each brother was married to one widow. So the third brother can perform yibam with both widows. Let's say it comes out that mimer doesn't work at all. That means that one widow is falling from the first brother, another widow is falling from the second brother. It's two completely different marriages. He can do yibam on both. Okay? Either way, then, he may perform yibam with one of the widows. The other one needs chalitza. I mean, you think about it. We say manavshach, right? A yibam on one you can do either way. Mm-hmm. If this woman who the brother's first widow was actually married through Ma'amar to the second, then he's got two wives. You can do yibam on any one of that you wanted, right? Let's say Ma'amar didn't work at all, that means she's still the widow of she's completely the widow of the first brother. So when the second brother dies, there is still the widow from the first brother, and now a widow from the second brother. You can do yibam on both. So therefore, as we say, manavshach, one of them you can do yibam on. One of them you can do yibam. The other one, though, is going to need chalitza. And the other one is going to need chalitza is because, as they say here, the chalitza with the second is to free her in case mimer is not a marriage, so that she needs her own chalitza or yibam. Meaning, the other one's left, right? Because, again, if she really was married to the second brother, then you can't do it, and you can't do yibam on her. But in case she was not married to the second brother, right? In case she wasn't married to the second brother, she was still married to the first, so she needs her own yibam or chalitza. You can't do yibam because you're not sure exactly what the status is. So therefore, we say one of them you do yibam on because one of them there's no problem doing yibam, as we explained. The other one needs chalitza because in case mimer didn't work and therefore she's still the widow of the first one, she can't go scot-free. Something has to be done to her. So therefore, Reb Shimon says that you do yibam to one, chalitza on the other. The halacha does not follow Reb Shimon. Now, let us now go. Does not. Now, let's finish up the Mishnah here. New case, but a new case that we've had this before. Shnei achem nesuin l'shtei achoyos. Two brothers married to two sisters. We went through all the three sisters. We went through the three brother scenarios. Now we're going back to Now we're going to the two brother scenarios. Shnei achem nesuin l'shtei achoyos. Two brothers married to two sisters. Umeis achad mehen. One of them dies. Okay, so stop right there. Think about it. Two brothers married to two sisters. One of them dies. Okay, can the brother do yibam on his brother's wife?
No.
Why?
She's an Arab.
Why? Why?
It's a sister.
It's his wife's sister. It's his wife's sister. So therefore, when the brother dies, no yibam, right? Can't do yibam right now. There's no mitzvah of yibam, not whatsoever. She is considered your brother's wife, where there is no mitzvah of yibam. It's like she had children. Now, now the second brother's wife died. According to Torah law, if your wife dies, you can marry her sister. So now there's no more reason to say that he can't do yibam on her. Because the whole reason you couldn't do yibam was because your wife's sister, it's not your wife's sister anymore. Can you do yibam now? Says the Mishnah, no. Harezu asura alav ilamis. She is forbidden to him forever. Hayil v'nesra alav sha'achas. Being that she became forbidden to him at one point. Meaning, when the first brother died, there was a yibam. She fell for yibam. At that point, you couldn't do yibam because she was an erva. She was your wife's sister. At that point, not only is she your wife's sister, right? But she now takes on the status of your brother's wife where there is no mitzvah. So she becomes a second type of erva. And that second type of erva does not fall off even when the original cause of it does fall off. Even though the second brother's wife died, and now from the point of the erva of your wife's sister, there is no erva anymore. But since there was a situation where she fell for yibam, and at that point there was no yibam because she was an erva, therefore she now took on the status of your brother's wife where there is no mitzvah of yibam, that is what she remains. And therefore, even now, after the second brother's wife dies, there is no yibam or chalitza.
So what if the second wife was born
Let's talk about that afterwards. Let's finish up here. Okay. Now, Chofetz Chaim says, "Isur sipa lashon hara shasra atar l'sabing nus chaver afil al emes afil b'yachidi." When the Torah says lashon hara is not permitted, and that means even to say something truthful about someone else, that's even if you do it, just one-on-one. Or the more so if you tell two people about it. And actually your sin is intensified because of that. At the end of the day, if these two people go around telling people what you said, they're going to believe it. Why? It's like two witnesses. It's like two people. Okay. They're going to believe it more, and the person is going to be even more hurt because people hear from two people. Okay. Anytime we talk about it's prohibited to speak lashon hara, that's in all circumstances, no matter how many people are saying in front of, unless we specifically state otherwise. Have a wonderful day. Shvuah tov.
Thank you. Thank you.